Okay, welcome. I'm going to start this lecture this morning. I've got the video going, so if you were not able to make the meeting, then you can watch the video and should be able to get everything that we talk about. Today, what I want to talk about is creating a button to trigger sound on your interactive document. We can have music play in an InDesign document, and that's cool because music is always good to have in certain situations. But what I want to talk about is how to trigger that music. We could have the music play on the page load, but I think it's universally kind of accepted that's not necessarily a great way to interact with your users. When you're turning a page and all of a sudden music comes on, depending on what the volume is of your computer, it can get pretty irritating sometimes, especially late at night. That has happened to me many times. So I would prefer personally to trigger the music myself. If I want to play a video, I want to be the one to click play. Same thing with music. So, as far as the application of how you would use music or why you would use music in an InDesign document, kind of hard to know. Let's say you had a bunch of song samples or something that you wanted the user to kind of interact with. You can create on-off buttons, and they can hear samples of those songs. Or it could be lectures. You could have a series of lectures on a page, and you click on it, or podcasts, and you can click on and off. There are some conditions to the buttons that I'm going to explain today. Some limitations that will happen when you create these type of buttons. Basically, it's an on-off button. So you click it, it starts. You click it, it stops. But when you click it again, it always starts from the beginning. It's not start, pause, resume, and stop. If you want to do those type of things, you're going to have to create more of a controller. A controller would be something that, you have those things. You can stop, pause, you can slide a slider to a certain part. This is just a simple on-off button. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Make sure the sound is on because we're going to definitely be needing sound. And in the description here, all I have for you is how to create an on-off button to trigger a sound file. Now, also, I noticed right at 11 o'clock today that I didn't have this published. So I quickly published it at 11:01. So hopefully, Miriam, I know you're here just about every class. Hopefully you got that. But that's okay. I mean, I'm recording this now, so we'll have everything here. Okay, so let's go to InDesign. And I am going to, I have this calendar here, and that's going to be the next project that I'm going to have you build. I will write that project up and have it posted today so you'll know what the specs and parameters are. But basically, you're going to create a calendar with a theme that you choose. And we talked about that in the last class. It could be food, it could be fashion, it could be technology, it could be anything you want as far as the theme of a calendar. Just think of like walking into a bookstore like a Barnes and Noble and looking at all the calendars they sell of all different themes, landscapes, beautiful places, cities, food recipes, sporting, it could be a whole calendar on, baseball teams or basketball teams or something like that. So anyway, but in this calendar, what I have is, we talked about how to design a table and all of that in the last class, but now I have this little button here. that I created. Let me zoom into this so that you can see. Now we're in the main interface of InDesign, so this is the working view of InDesign. I'm on the digital publishing palette configuration. And we know that we can't test anything. We can't test any interactivity in this view. We have to go to the EPUB preview. We know where the EPUB preview is on all these tabs. It's in the lower left, or the shortcut key is Option Shift and Return. Option Shift on your keyboard and then hit Return. Okay, so if I click on this, it's nothing. All right, it's just kind of an icon. But when I go to the preview, the EPUB preview, and I'm going to use the Option Shift Return to get there this time, I see this button, and then when I click on it, notice how the cursor turns into a hand, and then this happens. I click on it and it stops. So it's an on-off button. You click on it, it starts, click on it, it stops. Hopefully that's not too loud for you. It was pretty loud in my headphones, so if it is, just turn your volume down. Okay, so how do we do this? Let's exit out of the EPUB preview and go back to our... Now, for this example, I'm going to just simply open up a separate page here, a blank page, so that we can see, so I can show you how I do it up big. Okay, there's the first thing that we need is the music. And what I did in this case is I went to YouTube and I went to the YouTube Music Library. And what I did was I actually searched for let's see, what did I search for? Something Latin, Latin tune. And I got all of these, and then all I did was choose one, and I just downloaded it. Okay, so that's what this Happy Birthday Mambo.mp3 was. So it's just as simple as that. Okay, once I downloaded that, I went to, again, I went to Google this time, and I typed in sound buttons. And I went to images, and I found one of these sound buttons. And clicked on it, downloaded it, and that's what I got right here. Okay, so those two things are really all you need. You need the music, and then obviously if you have more than one song, you'll have all your MP3s, and then sound buttons to to trigger them. In this case, I'm using just one sound button. So let me put my guides on the page here. Hit my W key. Okay, now in order for sound to work, you need to bring in your sound file onto the page. And you do that just like anything else, File, Place. And I'll go to my Sound Mambo 3. And I'll click, and this represents the sound file. And you can see what that is because it's just a box that has a sound icon right here. Now, in order for this to work, the sound file has to be at least touching the page. Okay, it could be on the page, or it could be kind of half on and half off. All depends on what you want to do. You can also make this file, this box smaller. So I can reduce this down into something very small, and I can kind of put it over there. But normally what you do, and the thing to remember is that that sound file has to be on the page. A lot of times what we do is we hide it. We hide it behind something, so some graphic, and that's what I'm going to do. So I've got the sound file. Let me just make this a little bit bigger for now. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in our buttons. And so again, File Place or Command D. I'm going to get my sound button and open that up. And I'll just kind of make it about that big for now. We can always make these smaller. Okay, right now this is just a graphic. It's not a button yet. So I'm going to turn this into a button. Now if we want to play the sound file and see how it plays, if I select it, I can go to Media. And here's my sound file because I selected it. And I can play it. Okay, so that plays. And so we know that works. And then I'm going to take my button and go to Buttons and Forms. Now it doesn't know that this is a button yet, so I'm going to make it a button by converting it to a button. I can do that here, or I can just slide down the button here like we did before. But let's use this one because this is fast. Okay, so there it is. It's a button. Oh, you know what? Let's undo that for a minute. Okay. Make that a button. And I'm going to call this button the play button. P-L-A-Y. And I'm going to leave the event on release, which is normally what we do. The action that I'm going to give it is to activate a sound. Okay, so action, sound. There it detected the name of the sound. And then I'm also going to give it an action of show, hide, buttons and forms. Show, hide, buttons and forms. Okay, so these two actions. I'll explain to you what this means in a sec. Because what we want this button to do is hide itself. And then we want it to show itself when the other button is clicked. That'll make more sense in a sec. So we have that button set up. Now I'm going to hold my Option key down and duplicate this off. So I have a duplicate button of this. And I'm going to call this button Stop, the Stop button. The action is going to be to stop a sound. So I'm going to click Sound. Okay, recognizes the... And then again, I'm going to go to Actions and Show Hide Buttons. So I have my Stop button, and then I have my Play button. We can see up here when I click on this, it says Stop. When I click here, it says Play. Now, this is something that is new, that came up. And this came up when I gave it the action of Show Hide Buttons. We have the visibility of both buttons, meaning that we're seeing both buttons on the page. When I click on the Play button, what I want to happen is I want the Play button to hide itself. I want the Play button to activate the sound, and then I want it to hide itself. And I want the Stop button to be visible. So I'm going to click on this X, and if you click, you get a eyeball, which means that that Stop button will be visible. If I click again, I get an eyeball with a slash through it, which means the Stop button will be hidden. And if I click on it again, that means that the Stop button is not even activated. Okay, it's got an X through it. It doesn't even work. So what I want, when you click on this button, and that's the key, once, this is on click or on release, I want the Stop button to show itself. And I want the Play button to hide itself. So there it is. Okay, Play button disappears, Stop button shows up. Now, I'm going to click the stop button, and I want the exact opposite to happen. I want the stop button to not show, and then the play button to show. Okay, and that's the way, and then I'm going to put these on top of each other, and that's the way this is going to work. So let's test it out right here, just so that you can see what's happening. So I'll, again, do my Option Shift Return. I'll go to, now the little 3 dots that you see right here is that sound file trying to show its controller. And because that sound file is very small, all we're seeing is 3 little dots here. I'll show you what this means in a sec, but let's see if these buttons work. So this is my play button. That's my stop button. Oh. Okay, so something's wrong. What's happening here is the stop button, when I click it, when I click the stop button, it looks like it's playing the music. Okay, I really want it to stop the music. And the reason it didn't stop the music, unfortunately, is that I didn't program it to stop. Okay, so let's go back and reprogram this. Okay, I'm going to take the Show Hide Buttons and Forms off and delete this. Okay. When I click the stop button, I labeled it stop, but see under the options of what I want it to do, I don't want it to play the music. I want it to stop the music. Play is the default, and I didn't do that to this one either because that is what we want it to do. We want this button to play it, but we really wanted this button to stop, so I forgot to click stop. Okay, so I have to make sure that that's the action that I want this to do. Then I'm going to add the action of Show Hide Buttons. And then with this selected, I'm going to say I want the stop button, the play button to show, and I want the stop button to not show. Okay, so now it should work. Let's try it out. This should play it, this should stop it. Okay, and when I click play, the play button disappeared and the stop button appeared. When I click stop, the stop button disappeared, the play button appeared. Okay, so that works. Now, let me just show you what those 3 little dots are on this file. When I brought this file in, it was this size. And if you want a controller attached to the sound file, you can extend this out large. And then when we preview it, you'll see a controller there. You see that controller that's coming out? In fact, that's not a really good controller. This is where InDesign gets really weird. Okay, let me undo that and let me see. I think I might have to do the Command and Shift key here. Yeah, I have to make the actual I think what I have to do is I have to make the actual actual controller big. Let's see if that controller comes out. It's still kind of all messed up here.
Sorry I'm late, Professor.
That's okay. I am continuing on with this. And you can watch the video. Okay, there's the controller. You can watch the video for anything that you missed. But
Okay.
basically, I'm going through a demonstration on how to create a start and stop button in InDesign to play some music. So let me undo all of this. Oops, I don't want to do that. Okay, so I brought in a sound file, and then I created a button to trigger this sound to turn it on, and I created another button to turn it off. We did a little preview of that. When this button is pressed, it will hide itself. When this button is pressed, the music will stop and the play button will reappear. When I click on this button again, it'll play the music and hide itself. Then I'll click on this button, it will stop the music and hide itself, and the play button will come back on. So here it goes. Then I click the stop button and it disappears and the play button reappears. So that is what is considered an on-off button. And what it's doing is it's triggering our MP3 file that we brought into the page. So now all I have to do is make sure that the play button sits on top of the stop button, so that when you hit the page and you click on this, it'll play it. And then what's going to happen is it'll disappear and the stop button will show up. But when it's on top of it, it won't look like anything happens. It'll just be, but it'll be different buttons that show up. So if I put this play button on top of the stop button and place it exactly over, and then click and drag both of them, I'll pull this over here. Now, if I go to my preview, this is the play button, and it's going to disappear, and the stop button is going to appear. So this will kind of just disappear, but it looks the same. So I'll click it once. Click it again and it stops. Okay, let's try that again, because I think my stop button is on top of my play button. See, if I have the wrong order, if I have the stop button on top of the play button, then when I click it initially, nothing's going to happen, and that's what happened. So let me try this again just to make sure this happens again. Okay, so here's my button. So when I click this, it should start playing. But if I click it and nothing happens, that means I have the wrong button on top. So let's try it. 3, 2, 1, click. Okay, nothing happened. Now, what happened is the play button is now in the front. So if I click it a second time, it should play. Okay, so I know what the problem is. I know that this button right here is the stop button. This button is the play button. So I'm going to pull this on top, and all we do is just go up to Object, because I have the top selected, Arrange, and Send to Back. Okay, now it doesn't look like anything happened. This is where it kind of gets confusing because they're both the same button. But now the play button should be on top. If I click this, I should see play. Yes, I see that. So now when I go here, everything should work. Okay, and that works. Now the only other thing we got to do is hide this little guy, because it's got the little 3 dots there. So if I had, let me move this down a little bit. If I had any kind of graphic on the page, like, a photograph or something, I'm just going to do that and let's say fill this with the color. Okay. Let's say this represents a photograph. Then all I have to do is just hide that behind the photo. And now everything, oops, we have that. Now, you can't group these together, because if you see how you kind of might want to group these because they're 2 on top of each other. If you group them and then you do it, I already tried this, it doesn't work. So these still have to be separate things. So to move them together, you're going to have to highlight both of them. And okay, so let's say I put that there and I want to play. So I'll go here. I don't see my sound file anymore because it's behind this, and then I can play. Okay, so that works. So that is pretty much how you would create that. And in this case, what I did was place this sound file right there. So if I preview this page, let's say this date here was somebody's birthday. And you said, happy birthday, so-and-so, and then they click this. Now we're getting sick and tired of that song, but that kind of gives you the idea of how to create an on-off button that will trigger not just sound, but it can trigger all kind of things. It could trigger a video. We already did that when we let's say we had a video on the page and we wanted it to, to start a video. We can do that with this button. Yeah, it opens up a lot of possibilities of what you can activate on a page. Just remember to hide that sound file. And I think the sound file I put behind this photo here. So if I move this photo away, yeah, sure enough, there's my sound file. Okay, so that's just another little InDesign thing. We already talked about the assignment as far as it being a calendar that you're going to create. And so I think I've talked enough about that. I'll formally write that up. I'll have a due date. I'll give you, plenty of time to do something nice. And I know you'll do something nice too, because you already have the the hang of animation features and buttons and things like that. It'll probably be a minimum of at least 3 pages, 3 calendar pages, but by all means, go to town on it if you want. You can do the entire year if you want. And for the most part, the layouts will probably be the same from page to page, so it's really kind of a copy and paste type thing, switching out the numbers, the dates, as they correspond to the days of the week, and then maybe putting in things like the holidays. You could have American flag for Memorial Day or 4th of July or something like that, or Christmas, Thanksgiving, things like that. You can play around with different symbols. Maybe the symbols are clickable. Maybe you have a little turkey on November 25th and you click on that turkey and you hear this gobble gobble sound or something, it's little things like that that really set you apart, set your design apart from just a static text and photos. So I'll be clicking around your InDesign file just to see if there's anything surprising that happens. But outside of that, that's what the assignment's going to be. And I'll probably talk a little bit more about some more features, but I think for the most part in those last, say, 4 or 5 lectures that we've had, we really covered quite a bit about the interactivity of InDesign. And I want you to be able to really use this not only for personal projects, but for, paying gigs, and put this in your portfolio. Just one last thing before I go is I want to go to, and I think I showed this to you before, but I want to go to my Behance page and show you that It's not my profile. Don't want to go here. I go to my main page. Why is it every time I want to create? Oh, this is at Platt College, that's why. Okay, my main page is not at Platt College. My main page is at my other email.
I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Oh, okay. Tell you what, let me get this up for a sec, and
Okay.
then I'll share my screen. Because I want to change my, I want to log in, I want to sign out basically. I want to sign in with my new username. Sorry about that, Maria. Just
It's okay.
be a sec. And I'll get it up here. Because I want you to see that you can okay, come on, I want to go to Behance, man. I need to get this up here anyway. Okay, here it is. Okay, here it is. All right, let me share my screen now. Sorry about that. All right, so here's my Behance page, and do you have a Behance page, right?
Yeah, I
Portfolio
actually just
page.
created one yesterday, and I
Oh, good.
used the Adobe Portfolio. But
Yes.
that's what I wanted to ask you. Like right now, what you have up, uh, like what's the difference? Because like, how do you post on here? Because I don't have anything on like this side. I just have like my Adobe Portfolio.
Okay. How do you post an interactive page
Yeah.
to this?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, okay. I will tell you what. In our next class, I'll walk you through that step because it's been a while since I posted one of these, and I don't want to fish around and um, lead you in the wrong way and kind of uh, let me go through the steps of how I got this up here
Yeah.
and how I linked. What you're basically doing is you're linking to adobe.com or the ind.adobe.com. And once you have your project up there, then you come to Behance and you link it. See how it says link to project here?
Yeah.
And once you link it to that project, then when I click on it, that project comes up. And what it's doing is it's linking to um, Adobe's website. So this is like you're viewing it on Adobe's website at this point. And you can see it full screen and so forth.
Okay.
Okay, so it's just a matter of, and then once you have it on Behance, you can create, I'll also show you how to create um, a descriptive banner underneath your project where you can explain in text what your project is about and what certain challenges you faced. And that's what I have students do, is write a little scenario of what this school project was about and what your assignment was and how you solved the problem and so forth. So I do that with my page also. So I'll walk you through those steps. All of these are things that I created in Adobe InDesign, and then I uploaded to, you see all the interactivity, and I can click on the buttons, and it's basically the same as going to adobe.com, only you're doing it through Behance, and you're using Behance as the as the general way to get there.
Okay.
And what's nice is that, see, employers are going to want to see your Behance portfolio. That's the first thing that you're going to send them when they, if you apply for a job and they say, okay, send us, send us a link to either your Behance page or to your website. So you'll send them a link to your Behance page, and they'll come to your Behance page like that. And then when they click on one of these pieces, they'll go to Adobe site and they'll see the interactivity of it. So it works out really well. But again, let me give you that step by step so it's nice and fast. And we'll do it in a video so you have a record of it, and then you can do that. Okay. Or if you want, in between, I mean, you could always Google it, and it'll all that information is right there. So it'll walk you through the steps. But I'll do that in the next. Actually, I'll ask you if you did it, and if not, I'll walk you through the steps.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So let me stop sharing my screen and look for that assignment up on Canvas, and then I will see you Tuesday.
Okay. Sounds good.
Have a good weekend. And it's really nice to at least have one of you here.
Thank you.
So, okay. Take care.